Hello, Sheree. Nice to see you again.
Hi, lovely. You okay?
Yeah, good. Thank you
Good.
for your time today. I do appreciate you jumping on just to share your story a little bit with some other people that might be in your position.
Of
Um,
course, no problem.
so we're just gonna do a couple of questions back and forth, and if you
hmm
just let us know how you got on with each of those questions, that'd be great. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Good. Okay. So, what was the biggest challenge or frustration that you were experiencing before you started the program?
Well, I'd already made a pretty big work decision before starting the program, but I was, I suppose, questioning that decision. I had lots of thoughts, feelings, different ideas running through my head, and that was the biggest challenge, was just trying to clear my mind and find a path that I was going to be happy with, whilst dealing with a lot of negative, intrusive thoughts around that, and some lacking in confidence. Just really wanted to be able to find a clear path.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've done that.
We have. Don't give the ending
What,
away.
yeah. What was it that made you decide to work with me and invest in this program?
Well, I'd reached out to you, hadn't I? And we had a little back and forth chat, and it just made me feel really comfortable. I think, there's some relatable parts to the story, to my story, and that came across when we first were in contact. So from that point, I just felt really comfortable, and the conversation we had led me to want to pursue that and work with you, because it just felt like you got it. You were going to be able to guide me through.
Well, it was similar, like teaching and your job were similar, weren't they? Which is quite.
Yeah.
As you say, it does relate quite well, which is good. And then when we first started working together, what were your initial thoughts and feelings about those first few weeks of the program?
I was definitely apprehensive initially, and that was more about my own ability to really commit to anything. I just didn't feel confident that I could, potentially lay down new habits and really have some consistency in some of the things, goals I wanted to achieve. So yeah, really apprehensive. But you made me feel super comfortable. And I could see, just with a little bit of consistency and that sort of short-term goal setting, quite quickly could see things were starting to get better. So once I could see that, then I had that drive to carry on. But definitely I did have some self-doubt as to how, whether I could sort of commit to it. But once you start seeing those results, it really sort of gives you the motivation to keep going.
Yeah, that's good. And what specific breakthroughs or results did you experience since starting the program?
Well, I did make another decision, or I certainly decided on a clear path, and the result of that was going back to work, and I now am back in work, so that was definitely the big point, but I also just started to realize that just my thoughts, my internal monologue was really what the limiting factors were. And if I could start to just change that and to just reframe some of those thoughts, actually, I was in a lot more control than I thought I was when I started. So that was a lovely feeling, just to realize that I can change this, and without doing hugely remarkable things, quite small steps really, but starting to realize how impactful they were.
Mm. Because that enabled you to set your boundaries and going back, which definitely has put you in a really good place for moving forward.
That's it.
How has the program impacted on your personal life?
Um, I think because I've been able to make that decision, because I'm back in work, everything's just felt a little bit more um, steady, a bit more stable, a bit more consistent. And that positivity that I've sort of put in place to enable me to make those changes and to go back to work with a bit of confidence has, filtered into every part of my life. Just behave changing behaviors, being more positive, allowing myself time to experience joy in activities again and putting boundaries around that. So really protecting that for myself and advocating for myself has just made me, so much more positive about myself and my outlook on life and my future, I guess.
And I'm going to just throw it a different one in there just to unnerve you a little bit. You did a lot of work on your values, your core values, and I think you made quite a really insightful or a really good understanding of what was really important and what was top of the list for your values, but then what else you wanted to bring in with your joy and your hobbies. Can you talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that?
Well, I suppose I've always struggled with the need to have stability and consistency in my life, but also wanting to feel um, spontaneous and freedom. So it was just, and that I suppose had been a battle in my head for a long time, wanting to live this kind of free spirit life, but then craving, the practicalities of a steady job and money and stability in that way. So doing the values and actually sort of ranking them just allowed me to understand that yes, the stability and the consistency does come higher than the freedom when I really thought about it. But that freedom is absolutely still up there. So, making decisions in my life now, whether that be work or otherwise, it's just being able to find a way where I can have both, but know that I put more value on the stability element. And being comfortable with that, but knowing that I have to make time and have an element of that spontaneity, joy, and freedom element in my life to be happy. Yes, that was really interesting and allowed me to really sort of clear my thoughts and reduce that conflict in my head quite a bit.
Yeah, it was good. It was you worked really well on that. It was really good. And was there a moment when during the program when everything just clicked or everything just kind of felt like it fell into place? What was that like for you?
Um, I mean, when I made the decision to go back to work, that was definitely um, a point where I felt really clear-headed. I knew what I wanted to do, and that was probably the biggest sort of moment of the program, really. But other than that, I mean, and that felt amazing because I just felt really clear, really um, happy with the decision. There was so much less ambiguity in my head, and I was just really focused on what I wanted to do. So it felt great. But other than that, it just was that real gradual effect as well, that just week on week, and the way you work with setting short-term goals, reflecting back on them, looking at actually what you had achieved, and so many times I would say, "Oh, I've done my own, I've done much, I might have done this, might have that," and then start talking, and you go, "I've done loads actually," and you would forgot about that. You would never have reflected on it if you don't sort of, set aside that time to think about it. And that's something that I'll take forward from this program. But there was just a real sort of slow burner and a build up for me over the program that resulted in me being able to make that decision, which was lovely.
Yeah. And that is good. It's really important that we celebrate our wins and that we look for the things that we've done well because so often we just criticize ourselves, don't we? And that's why I quite like to do that because it is important.
Hmm.
Have you ever had any other coaching experiences? And if so, what makes this one different?
No, I haven't actually, Nick. I haven't had any other coaching. I've had therapy, which is different, but this I was just at a point where I needed to be coached, I think, rather than, delving too much into it. It was just right, how am I going to move forward now? This is the situation. This is what I'm dealing with. What can I do to, you know, break free of some of that and move forward? And I'd never done coaching before, so I was a bit blind to it, but certainly um the way you work and how you're able to help me just allowed me to see through that and get to that point, which is amazing.
You did a lot of hard work in the background, and actually, that big decision you made quite quickly. I think sometimes just having that space to be clear with, right, okay, what do I really want? What am I delving into? Just helps, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And then final question, what would you say to somebody who's sitting on the fence about coaching?
I mean, now I've been through it, I can't say anything other than, just make that decision, just do it if you can. Invest in yourself. There's nothing more valuable to invest in, really, is there? If you can go and buy this or buy that, then you can think about investing that into your own self. And there's so much you can take away from it afterwards. It's not short-term thing. It's not just going to be something that comes and goes. If you can take on those habits and behaviors, it can, you carry that on. For me, certainly, it's been life-changing. So I would just, really encourage anybody to give it a go, to reach out to you, because straight away you'll, realize how comfortable you make people, and they'll feel comfortable. And I think then they realize that, yeah, just give it a go. So I'd say reach out, have a conversation, and I'm sure you'll feel like you want to give it a go. And that's what I did. And I won't, don't regret it at all.
No, you've done really, really well. You've just blossomed, which is lovely to see. And you were only on the 6 week program as well, which was just an introductory program. So to have done what you've done in that length of time is just incredible. So well done, you.
Thank you. No, thank you. Because just within that 6 weeks, and just your approach to things, and how you just challenge some of those limiting beliefs, and how you just make you question and reflect and allow that safe space to do that makes has made a huge difference to me. So thank you.
Absolute pleasure. It really is. And I really mean that because I just love doing it. But no, I
You can
really
tell.
appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing how you're getting on in the future.
Of course. Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank
See
you.
you soon.
See you soon.